Hello, my name is Sarah here at Denim and Rain, and I'm going to show you some of the techniques used for my movie night slipper socks. So I was not originally planning on doing a video tutorial. So I had already cast on these socks, and obviously they're not ideal for video tutorials because I have dark yarn on dark needles. So I'm going to be switching colors at total random. This is not anything that's in my pattern for the movie night slipper socks, but we are making do with what I already have and not having to start a whole new sock and thus dealing the pattern again. So I'm just going to work with what I have, which is dark socks on dark needles, then changing to a lighter yarn onto the dark needles. So I am working these magic loop. In my pattern I will have a link to somebody else's video tutorial on starting a magic loop. I have my stitches evenly divided between my first and second needle. I know my first needle because it starts on the side where I cast it on. You could tell because that's where my tails are. I also oftentimes will stick a stitch marker or a progress keeper on the side where my rows begin, just to kind of help me out. So I'm going to be showing you guys the heel flap, heel turn, and gusset. So starting here on my first needle, which will be my heel and my gussets and my heel flap and all that stuff. So this is basically the back of the foot is what we are looking at right now. So I'm going to totally at random, like I said, change yarn colors so you guys can actually see what it is I'm doing. Again, this isn't something that's in the pattern, but you could cast on a different color for a heel flap because that would be kind of cool too. Whoop. The pattern says to slip that first stitch for our heel flap. And I'm going to work across knitting all of these stitches on my first needle. Just like that. Now I'm going to stop. Now, usually you would yarn mess everywhere. So when you're knitting in the round, you would normally flip around and start going on the other way. But we are not going to do that for the heel flap. I am now going to turn her around as if to knit in the round, but I am not going to be knitting in the round. I am now looking at the wrong side of my heel flap, and I'm going to work in rows now. So I'm going to work back this way. So I'm going to slip this first stitch, and by working these slip stitches I'll be able to easily pick up the stitches when I go back and I work the gusset. So now I'm going to purl this row. So purl all the way back across this heel flap. And that's basically it, you guys, for the heel flap. You just go back and forth. Knit one row, purl the next row, knit one row, purl the next row. So it sounds scary in a pattern when you see heel flap and you read all these instructions, but it's really crazy easy. And second row done, just like that. Super fast, you guys. Alright, so now we have worked the heel. I've got all those 14 stitches here on my first needle. I still got my rest of my 14 stitches hanging out on my second needle. So now we are going to proceed to doing the heel turn. And we're going to continue working in rows on the first needle. So first I am going to slip this first stitch. And I'm going to knit 7. And then I'm going to knit 2 together. and then I'm going to knit one, like so. Now I have these 3 stitches left on this this needle over here, and I'm just gonna leave them on there, hanging out like that, being all weird, and I'm gonna turn. Now we're going to go back this way. I'm going to slip that stitch, and I'm going to purl 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to purl 2 together. Like that. And then purl 1. And now I've got these 3 stitches hanging out on that needle. And they're just going to continue to hang out on that needle. And I'm going to turn. And you're going to basically keep doing that, back and forth. I'm going to slip that one. And I'm going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to knit 2 together and knit 1. Now I have 1 stitch left on that one. Oh. Right. Now I'm going to get back the purl away. Slip 1 and purl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try that stitch again. And then I'm going to purl these 2 together and purl 1. I've got that 1 stitch hanging out on that needle, like that. Now I'm going to turn it and slip 1 and then knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to knit these last 2 together, like so. And you can find all of the exact stitches in the pattern, of course. And then slip 1 and purl across here. And purl these last 2 together, like so. And you've completed your heel turn. So here you have your heel flap, and then your heel turn stitches. Alright, so now that we have our heel turn and our heel flap, we are now going to work into the slipped stitches on both the sides of the heel. So we have our heel turn here, and we're going to knit back across this 1 more time. So slip that one and knit all the way back across. So I now have 8 stitches left on this needle, and then I still have the 14 on hold on my other needle. So all these beautiful little slip stitches that we did on the side of our heel flap is now what we are going to knit into. So I'm going to take my needle and put it through the first slip stitch, like so. And then I'm going to knit into it, like that. And I'm going to do the same into all of the other slip stitches up this side. So I should have 6 slip stitches here, like so. Ta-da! Now I'm going to pull my first needle through, like so, and now I'm going to work across the top of my foot. Of course, again, I am using weird colors because, well, for the sake of this video tutorial. So usually I would not be working a second color like this across the top of the foot. But for the sake of the video, that is what we were doing. So after I've worked those slip stitches, I am now going to knit across the top of my foot. This is going to be a funky sock, you guys. But hey, funky can be really fun. Like so. Now we have knit across the top of our foot. Now we're going to turn. And I like to keep all of my bottom of my foot and side of my foot stitches on the first needle. So I'm going to pull this out, my second needle out, and I am now going, I've got yarn everywhere. I'm going to pull this through real quick here so it's not in my way. There we go. I'm going to now pick up and knit along the other heel flap slipped stitches. So I'm going to insert my needle and knit and do the, oops, I'm going to knit like that. I'm going to knit through all the rest of them. Like so. I'm going to pull this needle in, and I'm going to keep working across all the rest of these on my heel. Alright, now that I've knit my slip stitches on the other side of my heel flap, I'm going to place a stitch marker here. This is basically going to be my beginning of row for my gusset. And now I'm going to knit across here. And I'm just going to knit all the way around, all the way back to that stitch marker. So across. The side of the heel flap again, and across the top of my foot again. Because we are back to working in the round. No more rows. Alright, so now we are back here at our stitch marker. I'm going to move that stitch marker over to my other needle. And this marks the beginning of my decrease round. So I'm going to knit to 3 stitches before my split, which is where I split for the magic loop, right here. So knit all the way up to 3 stitches. Alright, now we have reached to that 3 stitches. So knit 2 together, just like that. And then knit 1. Ta-da! Just like that, super easy. And then knit across the top of the foot. Okay, so now we've made it back to the magic loop split, and at this point I'm going to knit 1, and now I'm going to slip, slip, and knit. If you don't know how to slip, slip, knit, I will do that one more time for you. I have to fix my stitches now though. So I'm going to do that again for you real quick here. You're going to slip them knitwise, like so, and then put your needle back through them and knit them. So basically you're twisting those stitches, putting them back on the needle, and it makes them nice and easy to knit together like that. And it makes a nice hello line for your decrease. So, and knit to the stitch marker. Like so. And now you're going to knit all the way around for the next round. And you're basically going to continue to repeat that until the pattern says. So one row will be knit all the way around, and then the next round will have your decreases where you knit to 3 before the split, and you knit 2 together and then knit 1. And then you go across the top of the foot and then you knit 1 and you slip, slip, knit. And you basically again continue doing that until you are back to an even number of stitches on this and this. So you'll have 14 on this side again and 14 on that side. And then you will continue to stitch around for your foot. So yeah, it's a lot easier than it sounds in a pattern. I mean, you can already see we have our heel flap, our heel turn, and we are slowly working away at that gusset, which is what the part that brings it down and decreases those stitches, and then you start working the foot. So just like that. Super easy. I promise you, you can do it. So this is the movie night slipper sock. You can find the pattern in my Etsy or Ravelry. There will be a link below once that pattern has published. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, you can definitely send me an email via denimandrain@gmail.com, and you can also find me on Instagram as Denim and Rain Fibers, on Ravelry as Denim and Rain and such. And as always, the links will be down below in the description box. So there it is, movie night slipper sock. Have fun knitting!